Do good, Maverico here. Welcome to podcast episode number 59. Think practical always. That's the life hack or advice I want to share in today's episode. You know that I start laughing because that advice was originally given to me and my entire class when going to school to learn how to become a carpenter, building houses. During our second year of school, we had this teacher. It's in Norwegian, and he was a great teacher. He had this phrase that he kept repeating over and over and over and over again for the entire year we went to school. We was like 2 years in school for that carpenter stuff, but 1 year what was with him as the teacher. But yeah, and the thing was, almost no matter what the situation was where we found ourselves, and we were wondering how we were going to do it. Like maybe there was a new type of tool or saw that we didn't know how to use, and we were kind of stuck. How does this work? And hey, maybe we were asking him. We were asking the teacher, how does this work? And it was like an explosion. The whole guy was like almost shaking with enthusiasm. Think practical, and he was yelling it out, like yelling. You could hear it from several hundred meters away. You could hear this guy yelling, "Think practical." And oftentimes it had a second part to that line. It was "Think practical always." That was his line. But the thing is, it's mind-boggling how oftentimes that line solved everything when it came to the situation we find ourselves in. Because oftentimes we think about how to do something and we're actually overcomplicating it like crazy. Think practical always. That's his line. Yeah, think practical. Of course, everyone is thinking practical all the time. No, they're not. Absolutely not. Oftentimes we are how we are thinking. You should. I guess you would believe that most people are thinking practical most of the time because we are rational, intelligent human beings. Rational, are we really? When you see how most of us are behaving, we are behaving extremely irrational. So yeah, think practical always. What a line. I've been saying it for years that I could actually because the thing was, when we went to school, we got used to that line, think practical always. But even though we were used to it, it still got us out of trouble. It still helped us solve problems by hearing that big guy yell it out, think practical always. Think practical. Okay, so we should just take this straight up and around like that. Yes. Okay. Scenarios like that where we had maybe we were like 5 students trying to figure out how to get something done or how to do something, and then he kind of sees some students gathering in a bunch. Okay, I guess they have something they are trying to figure out, and he came walking over, and then and then it was like an explosion behind us. Think practical always. And you always sometimes you could see students like jumping up in the air almost. But what happened? It's like a gunshot went off behind her. It was not a gunshot. It was this guy yelling the same line we had heard for like months. But in an extreme amount of cases, it helped us find the solution. So yeah, as silly as it sounds, it was, yeah, it was extremely practical to think practical. But yeah, and being a carpenter, that's kind of like a practical profession that way. But can you really use that same thinking for business scenarios, things like that? And yeah, oftentimes, absolutely. So yeah, think practical. Is it really necessary to make a podcast episode talking about the advice of thinking practical? Yeah, I actually think so because yeah, just try it out. Maybe you would say, yeah, but most people are already trying to think practical. Yeah, but okay, yell the line out to yourself, think practical, and see how you decide to go about things then. Because the thing is, oftentimes when we are thinking about things, especially inside our own head and not masterminding or discussing it with someone else or writing it down, oftentimes there's a lot of emotions and assumptions mixed into it. So it's actually not that very practical at all. So if you kind of force yourself to take a new fresh look at the situation you find yourself in, and while taking that new look, think practical, oftentimes solutions are just popping out like crazy. Of course, it's not always that easy, but in many cases it is. And yeah, the point I was also getting to was that for years I've been saying it that I would actually like to subscribe subscribe. How have I been used? How have I been saying this? I've been saying it for years. Something like that if I was a multi-millionaire, I would actually like to go back to that teacher and pay him a certain amount of money per month. And his whole task would be to call me on the phone, like maybe 2 times per day. He would call me on the phone. I would pick up the phone and he would yell like crazy, think practical, always. And I would just hang up on the phone. Something like that. If I was a multi-millionaire, I would actually like to subscribe to something like that because who knows, when you are building an online business or managing an online business, projects, stuff like that, who knows how often that line alone would get me to take a new look, force myself to think extra practical for a few seconds, and boom, have a new solution or a new breakthrough. So yeah, think practical. It's mind-boggling how often we are complicating things, especially when we have learned some things and we're not yet an expert, and then we kind of figure out how little we actually know, and then you kind of switch it over to become more complicated again. In the beginning, when people know very little about a subject, like for example, make money online, very little. You have the Dunning-Kruger effect, as they call it, that those people that know very little, they oftentimes think they know a lot. It's like their circle of knowledge and competence is so small that it also makes them very little aware of what they don't know. But then, as they learn more, they know a lot more than they used to know. Their knowledge is increasing rapidly, but then it also increases their awareness of what they don't know. So it kind of, when people reach that level, it seems to me to be a kind of big thing that a lot of people kind of get frozen, and then they start focusing a lot on learning knowledge and not on taking action. So it kind of freezes people a bit. And then you have other people that know less than them, and they don't let themselves get frozen into inaction by that kind of stuff, and they are racing past them. There's a lot of people making it in business that are a lot more stupid, have lower intelligence, less knowledge, less experience, less contacts, less capital, a lot of disadvantages than other people, but they are taking a lot of action, choosing the right things to work on. Maybe there's some luck involved, or they're surrounded by people better than them. They hire help, stuff like that. There's a lot of variables that goes into it, but they themselves have a lot of disadvantages, but they are outperforming other people that know a lot more. But those that knows a lot more, oftentimes they are not taking enough action. Maybe people get stuck in things like analysis by paralysis, stuff like that. So yeah, think practical. Okay, think practical. So let's say you are launching an online business. I've been interviewing a bunch of people about paid community success stories the last few weeks. I'm in the process of interviewing 30 people that are running paid communities that is making at least $10,000 in profit per month, because I'm turning it into a book and a course and a community for my online education and community platform that I call Terrific 30. So yeah, I've been interviewing a bunch of these paid community success stories. And let's say you would like to build your own paid community that are making at least $10,000 in profit per month. Let's say you wanted to escape the rat race and do that yourself. Okay, think practical. Think practical. No, but I didn't need the expertise as an online marketer, because they said that they said you're like I imagine this like I was like explaining this to my old carpenter teacher. Like, yeah, but I need to, because those experts and then he would explode behind me when I was sitting on my laptop. He would like explode. Think practical always. Like with his loud voice, like almost things were shaking on the desk, you know. Think practical. Think practical. Oh, so I should just launch it and start selling memberships? Yes. Oh, okay. And that's actually what several of those success stories that I interviewed, that was actually almost how easy they went about it. One guy, he got the idea for a paid community. Immediately, he called his friend that knew a lot about AI, because he wanted to build a paid community about AI, but he didn't know much about AI himself. So he called his friend if he wanted to partner with him. Yeah, he was open to it. And I think it was the very next day they made a paid community. They used the school platform. There's a lot of other platforms you can use as well. They launched it, and in the beginning they just made the price lower than they were planning to charge in the future, and they started selling memberships. I think they sold to like a few friends and people they knew, people they had on their social media, stuff like that. They got a few members, and then he contacted a guy that he knew that had a big email list, but he wasn't mailing it. He was mailing it, but he wasn't promoting offers to it that often. So he asked that guy if he wanted to promote a workshop about AI, where they were promoting their paid community. If he wanted to promote that workshop to his email list, he said yes, because he would do it as an affiliate, where he would get paid a commission per sale. And they set it up where it was monthly recurring commissions. I think it was 23% recurring commissions for each person that became a member through his promotions. And I think they were having like two, if I remember correctly, two workshops per week. And that was basically it. They had two workshops per week. And one guy that had an email list was mailing it and promoting that workshop to his list. A few weeks into it, and they were making over $10,000 in profit per month each. So yeah. And one of the things that this guy said was that he was surprised about how easy it was. Another lady I interviewed, an older lady, she started her own paid community and she posted content on TikTok and YouTube pretty much daily for about 2 months. At the end of month 2, she was making over $14,000 in revenue per month. That's probably over $10,000 in profit. But yeah, they didn't overcomplicate it. And when I see a lot of other people that are launching paid communities, a lot of them are actually doing it this way, where they are kind of almost oversimplifying it. They launch it pretty much immediately. Boom, they launch it. And in order to start getting members, they're just lowering the price like crazy in the beginning. Like the first week, you will get memberships for $5 per month or $20 per month, stuff like that. Maybe for the first week or for the first 20 members, they're doing stuff like that. And gradually, they're increasing the prices. Some people are using paid ads. Some people are posting content. Maybe you can get affiliates to promote it. Maybe you can be interviewed on podcasts. Maybe you can do cold emailing. But the thing is, with paid communities, you can basically all sell it directly as well. Message people and talk about it and sell it that way. Or even show up to people's businesses and try to sell memberships that way as well. If you're making a bit higher ticket community, you could probably call people up on the phone as well. I've had during the last few months, I think it's 2 or 3 calls I've been on with owners of paid communities. That was not interviews, but it was owners of paid communities, and they were running ads or post. Some of them were running ads. I think one of them were posting on social media. But yeah, I booked a call, and on the call, he talked about his paid community and about what I wanted to do and see if it was a fit, and asked if I wanted to become a member. So they were booking calls, and on the calls, they are selling memberships to their paid community. Pretty a pretty simple sales funnel, so to speak. You don't need a 15-step sales funnel in order to make money online. So yeah. Think practical. If you only had like a few dozen to a few hundred members paying you between $30 per month and $1,000 per month, somewhere in between that, it won't require that many members before you had 5 figures in profit per month, you know. But anyway, think practical always. And if you want to find those real life success stories that I interviewed, you should check out communitycashcows.com. And maybe you choose to try to build your own community cash cow. Check it out on communitycashcows.com. All right, take care and God bless.